It is the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast. Thank you for listening and watching us today. Whether you're listening to the podcast, the radio show, or you're watching us on YouTube, thank you so much. We appreciate that. And we thank you for coming in and getting this great information to help you retire. So what is stopping people from achieving the American dream in 2025? Well, a new poll by YouGov finds that the cost of living, number one, number two, housing, are at the top of that list. Also making the top five were taxes and the cost of healthcare. Brian, let's talk about that. There's a lot of things when we want to retire that I guess are boulders, are pitfalls that we can get into. But yeah, we all want to live the American dream. Cost of living, we all know that with inflation, and that I guess bleeds over into to housing. You guys have a solution for that with part of your retirement plan, which is part of income, which is the cost of living, which is keeping up with inflation.
And that's pretty much everybody's concern when it comes to retirement is, running out of money. Nobody wants to outlive their money in retirement. And, the American dream used to be, getting a job, getting married, having kids, and buying a house. And, that was the American dream in the early 40s, 50s. And now the American dream really for the baby boom generation, this is kind of what we're talking about. Achieving the American dream for those is having a successful retirement, being able to afford everything that you've been paying for while you're working, while you're retiring. And you see all these studies out there. One of the big questions that comes back whenever I sit down with prospective clients, people that call us from the radio, when I ask them is, what do you want to spend in retirement? And then they always say, well, what's the number? What's the calculation? Is it 80%, 85%, 70%? And, those are always the studies that are done by the big companies. You see them from Fidelity, you see them from Vanguard, you see them from T. Rowe Price. And while there is some validity to the fact that yes, when you're working, you're spending more money. And then when you retire, you're going to spend less money. But that's not always the case. And for pretty much all of my clients, it's not the case. And it kind of goes along with that same mentality of I'm going to be in a lower tax bracket when I'm retired. And whenever I have clients or prospective clients say that to me, I always ask them for their reasoning. And while I understand the reasoning, I'm not going to be earning as much money in retirement, so therefore I should be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. Well, while yes, that may be the case, that is never the way to approach retirement. Approaching retirement should not be, I'm going to reduce my lifestyle. I'm going to stop doing certain things. I'm going to cut back on my expenses. Whenever we talk about retirement planning, whether you're 5 years, 10 years, 2 years out from retirement, whatever amount you are spending while you are working, if it's $5,000, if it's $6,000, if it's $7,000 a month, that is the number that you should be aiming for in retirement. Just because you stop working doesn't mean your lifestyle would change. Yes, your lifestyle is going to change because you are not going to work every day. So yes, there are going to be some expenses that go down, like your gas expense. Maybe if you happen to wear suits or business clothes, you have to replace them every couple of years. Those expenses go away. If you're eating out a lot while you're at work, those expenses go away. But when you retire, you have a lot more time in your day. So while yes, some expenses are going to go down, you are going to find things to replace those expenses with. So whatever you're spending right now, that's what you should be spending in retirement. That's what you should be shooting for in retirement. And that kind of goes hand in hand with this whole concept of when I'm in retirement, I'm going to be in a lower tax bracket. So it's okay to have my money in traditional IRAs or traditional 401ks. Well, if you need $100,000 a year to live on when you're working, you need that same $100,000 a year to live on when you're retirement. So your tax bracket is not going to change. If anything, what we see is people actually go up in tax brackets in retirement, because of Social Security, because of dividends, because of, all right, I want to take out $20,000 to take the kids on a Disney cruise, or I want to take out $30,000 because I want to buy the RV, or we're buying the beach house, or whatever those retirement dreams are. People's taxes actually go up in retirement, especially when you reach age, it's 73 now, but the required minimum distribution age, I get it. The concern for everybody is cost of living. I want to make sure that I have enough money to live on in retirement, and housing goes along with that. The cost of living is going up, housing is going up, but most importantly, what everybody should be concerned about is taxes. Do you have a plan for taxes, not only now while you're working, or when you're retired, or even if you're retired now? Do you have a proper tax plan in place? And if you don't, if your tax plan is taking all of your documents to your tax preparer in January, February, March, or April, that's not having a tax plan. That's having a tax preparer who's doing your taxes and saying, oh, here you go, you're getting money back, or you owe money to the government, and there's nothing else we can do about that. If you want to find out what a true tax plan looks like, how we can help reduce or maybe even eliminate taxes on your income, give us a call, 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040, and sit down with Mike, myself, Catherine, Lawrence, Samantha, Faisal. One of the many advisors we have here at Prostatis to help you out and be part of your team in retirement. Call us, 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040, or visit us on the web at thesavvyinvestorradio.com. If you're like me, you hate picking up the phone and calling somebody when you need to make an appointment, because now you're having to go through your calendar with them on the phone. You go to the website, click the button that says schedule my 15-minute call. Right there, you're looking live at our calendars compared to your calendar, and pick the date that works best for you. That's thesavvyinvestorradio.com.
And we are looking at some things that are stopping you from achieving the American dream in 2025. Cost of living, housing made the top of the list. Healthcare costs, that also made the top 5. The average cost of healthcare for retirees, according to the federalretirement.com, says that will increase 13.5% in 2025. That's amazing. And then according to a 2022 Fidelity retiree healthcare cost estimate, that's hard to say, the average retired couple at age 65 can expect to spend around $315,000 on healthcare expenses. So that, again, is incorporated in your plans, Ryan. That's also a big concern for people. But I want to get back to taxes here. Because you said that people think that they're going to be in a lower tax bracket. Do you find that a little odd that taxation came in at number 5 on this list at 45%, or do you think that should be higher up on the list?
I mean, I think taxes aside from cost of living, taxes should be the number 1, if not the number 2 concern. I think this list is funny that number 3 is corruption.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Corruption really has that. I think that's more of an opinion thing than anything else. But
good point.
Taxes are such a big part of it, especially if you think about how we have been at some of the lowest tax rates we've seen. I'm 40 years old. The last time taxes were this low was, the Reagan years, which was pretty much right around when I was born. But Bush lowered the tax rates, kept them low for the longest time, and then Obama came in office, and he raised the top rate back up a little bit, and now Trump came in office, his first time around, lowered the taxes, and that's kind of where we've been. And now he's talking about keeping them low, making them permanent from the perspective of they don't expire, they just stay that way until somebody else comes along and changes it. But if you think about where we are as a country, we borrow 20 cents on the dollar for every dollar that we spend. We don't bring in enough money in tax revenue from income taxes to pay the interest on our debt alone. So as a person, You're spending all your money on credit cards and you don't earn enough money to pay the interest on your credit cards. That's a
Unbelievable.
bad situation. That's
Yep.
not the way you want to run a household. So, taxes are not going to be lower in retirement. Taxes are going to be the same for you, if not a little bit higher, just based on spending in retirement. Spending in retirement, it's not a linear number. It's not I spend $5,000 a month and then I spend $5,000 a month adjusted for inflation for the rest of my life. The first 10 years of retirement, you spend more money because you're doing the fun things. Taxes are going to go up when that happens. Eventually, your spending is going to level off when you reach 72, 73, and it stays about that way till age 85 when you're in more of a routine. You're not doing the trips. You're not running around to see the grandkids. You're not running around to see friends. It's just more of a routine. And then it really kind of falls off between 85 and 90 when you're not as active and nap time becomes a pretty big thing. And then right around 90, 92, it skyrockets again. And that's that healthcare cost. That's where healthcare, long-term care becomes a big thing. And, so if you're going to be spending more money in the first couple of years of retirement, you have to think about taxes and you think about where we are as a country. And, whether you're Republican or Democrat, taxes have to go up at some point in the future. They have to go up at some point in your lifetime. If you are, near or in retirement in the early stages of retirement, they have to go up. So you want to make sure that you have a plan that thinks about the taxes in retirement. Let's take advantage now of where tax brackets are right now, and potentially, if Trump extends out these tax cuts, where they'll be for the next few years, to start putting a tax plan in place. Let's look at doing Roth conversions on your money so that when you hit that later point in life, when you're spending the most amount of money on healthcare that you ever have been in your life, all of that money can possibly be tax free for you. Let's talk about creating those tax-free income streams that you and your spouse can outlive, and leaving that money behind to your heirs in a most tax advantageous manner. And it all starts by giving us a call at 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040, or visit us on the web at thesavvyinvestorradio.com. You can go online right there, click the button that says schedule my 15-minute call, and set that call up, set that time up for you to sit down and chat with myself, Mike, Catherine, Lawrence, Faisal, our team here at Prostatis, without even having to pick up the phone. That's thesavvyinvestorradio.com, or call us the old way, 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040.
If 2025 is the year for you to retire, well, you need to have a plan, because taxes could be your biggest expense in retirement. Again, as Ryan said, 866-597-1040, and online at thesavvyinvestorradio.com. Make sure to take advantage of that. That way you can have a sound tax plan for retirement. Ryan, Herbert, thank you again for everything that you do as well. Best to you in 2025, and all of our listeners, viewers, and podcast and YouTube subscribers as well. We thank you so much for being a part of this. Hopefully we give you some great information. We're going to do more of that in 2025. But Ryan, as always, you get the final word.
This is Ryan Herbert. Thank you so much for listening to the Savvy Investor Radio and podcast. And we will see you, the Savvy Investor, next week.